Hey everybody, Erin here with Engineering Radiance, and I have a special guest with me today, Lori Groleau from Microbiome Labs. She's on to talk to us about leaky gut and how we'll talk about how leaky gut can help somebody who has chronic headaches and migraines take that next step towards better health and help prevent inflammation and move towards just overall better wellness, which of course is important on the path to healing. So welcome, Lori. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know about, thank you. Yeah. For those of you that don't know about Microbiome Labs, it's a company that has all kinds of gut restoration products. Now you grew, the first one was Megaspore. Is that right?
It was.
That's what I knew about. So
Yep.
That's a
2012.
Cool special probiotic, and we'll hear about why that's unique and different from other probiotics that you might be familiar with in a little bit here. So it started with that and then grew. Now there's all kinds of helpful tools that they offer and that we use with our coaching clients and things like that. So why should somebody care if, if you have migraines and headaches, first of all, why should you care about gut health? If you've followed our information for a while, you probably know this, but just in case, really all of our wellness and health, it ties back to gut health. And for somebody who's sensitive to migraine triggers, that's a good clue that you have a lot of inflammation going on in your body. And we've found, working with clients over the years, that they might have bacterial imbalances in their guts, they might have parasites, might have what's called leaky gut, and they're getting food sensitivities and things like that can come from just our modern diet and lifestyle, stress, exposure to pesticides. Like probably only, I hate to say, probably only like the last 10 years that I even think about eating organics. My whole, childhood and 20s and things like that, I didn't really know how important it was. So it has a lot of exposure, and I'm sure a lot of you guys listening are in the same boat. Like we have this whole this whole like lifetime of history we kind of have to make up for now if you're just getting on the wellness train. So there's that just for anybody in the modern world these days, but then especially for people who've been dealing with chronic headaches and migraines for a while, you may have, like I did, use a lot of ibuprofen, Aleve, all these NSAIDs, painkillers that we use sometimes to try to take the edge off, try to stop the pain before it turns into a migraine. We have to take those few precious pills that we can get prescribed every month. I don't know about you, but I would hoard them. You only can get like 6 in a month. They don't give you more because of rebound headaches and things like that. So you wait until it's really bad. And in the meantime, I would just take ibuprofen like Tic Tacs. I didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't know how much it was affecting me, but that is massively tied into causing leaky gut, which then just perpetuates the cycle of inflammation, unfortunately. So this is a big deal. Healing your gut, healing your leaky gut is going to be a big deal for anybody that, like I did, overused some of those painkillers, even with the best intentions of trying to stretch out our migraine medicines or deal with other aches and pains and things like that. So that is where something like this leaky gut program fits in perfectly to help, address some of that damage that's been done and take the next steps. Even if you don't go into depth, I think yet with looking at which parasites, like we like to do gut testing and find out what exactly all is going on there. But I think just that foundation of trying to repair and bring down the inflammation applies most anybody, and especially somebody who has a lot of inflammation going on or some signs of leaky gut. So with that, tell us a little bit more about the program and also how you ended up, working with Microbiome Labs. You have a really interesting and personal journey with the products that people will be interested to hear too.
I do. It's actually very serendipitous that I ended up at Microbiome Labs. I live on the East Coast. I live in Florida, and been here for 5.5 years. I moved from New Hampshire, so I moved from the cold to the warm. And I had moved after going through a divorce. After over 30 years of marriage, my children all lived out of New England. They were grown, and my father had a stroke, and my parents lived in Florida. So I came down to help them. And my background, professional background, is in human resources. Nothing like what I'm doing now, which is I'm an account manager for Microbiome Labs. But anyway, after taking care of my dad, I tried to find a position in my field, because he passed away, and I couldn't find one. So I ended up taking just any old job, and the any old job was Microbiome Labs, this place I'd never heard of before. And I took a job in their customer service department. And so that was 3 years ago this month, actually. I had my anniversary last week. And so coming in, I have had, I didn't know anything about the company, but I did know I had IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And I've had it since I was 11 years old, and I am now 61. So it's 50 years now, but 47 years when I walked into the door of Microbiome Labs. And I've tried lots of things in the past, and nothing had ever worked. And IBS is also, comes from leaky gut. And 80% of us have leaky gut. Mm-hmm. So particularly people who have, like you mentioned, are on ibuprofen and medications like that. So anyway, coming into the company, I was learning about the products, and, they recommended I take Megaspore Biotic, which was the very first probiotic on the market. And for this company, and it's an all spore probiotic, and we'll go over that in a minute. And so anyway, I took that product, and on the 8th day of taking it, I had my first normal bowel movement since I was a child. I mean, I'm a person who has sat on a toilet. I would have to give myself 45 minutes to an hour every morning before I left for work or went anywhere to try to go to the bathroom, because I never had a beginning and it never had an end. It was just miserable. And I had emergent diarrhea sometimes, with really severe cramping, as well as been so constipated. Twice I ended up in the emergency room. Mm-hmm. I go for days without going. Mm-hmm. And, this just went off and on forever. Mm-hmm. And, 47 years. And so working for this company, my Megaspore Biotic changed my life. I mean, I could get into a car. I didn't have to worry about having an emergency on the road. At the time, I became an account manager within a couple months for Pennsylvania, which was out of my area because I lived in Florida. And I didn't think anything of driving up 95, and worrying about having an emergency because of my IBS. Yeah. It just has totally changed my life. Mm-hmm. So I totally believe in the product. I just happened upon it. I'm so grateful.
Yes, that's oh no, that's such a powerful transformation from, and a good story. I can relate to it. It's not comfortable to talk about sometimes, but I was sharing before, like ibuprofen, and it turns out I've actually read that can lead to gluten sensitivity. So I ended up having major issues with gluten as well. But how old am I? That was about 10 years ago. My gut was just destroyed, and I couldn't go anywhere without knowing where all the bathrooms were. Spent half the morning in the bathroom and things like that. And it was a miracle when I just could have like regular stools again, and like not have diarrhea anymore. And I think that, switching to Megaspore and a number of other things I was doing as well to get rid of food sensitivities and things like that, get rid of the gluten step by step. When that finally happened again, it was, started to happen, on a consistent basis. It just is life changing. And some people, you said 80% of people have leaky gut. It's not always going to show up for everyone as these kind of IBS
No.
symptoms. These are the kind of things that drive you to get help. But I would encourage people, even if you have like reflux or a bit of constipation, or just generally feel inflamed, like you have aches and pains and headaches and things like that, those are all signs that something definitely could be going on with your gut that needs to be addressed.
Autoimmune disease as well. Any type of autoimmune disease. Lots of us have those.
You mentioned allergies too.
Migraine, allergies, etc.
Sinus issues and stuff like that.
Yeah. They are.
So we have nothing to lose by having a healthier gut. Yeah.
Microbiome Labs came out with what we call our total gut restoration system. And that actually, the full system came out about 6 months after I started working for the company. So I had been on Megaspore, which changed my life. But, I still had, 20% of the time or whatnot, I would still have loose stools. Have never been constipated again, which has been wonderful. For 3 years, I have not been constipated. But sometimes I had loose stools, never as emergent as I did previously. But the total gut restoration, I did that for 3 full months, and that took care of it. And I think I shared with you the last time that we spoke, this year I had a job change. I still work for the same company, it's just a different role, which is how I've got to know you, Erin.
Yes.
And, COVID, job change, plus our company was acquired, and I will tell you a little bit about that in a bit. Had my nerves going, I guess. So I started to get, the loose stools a little bit more. And I started back on the total gut restoration about a month ago, and I'm fine again, all set. But I'm going to continue it for a couple more months just to be sure, and then go back to just the Megaspore.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah. So let's take a look at the how they put everything together. And she had some good studies for us too. Lori and I just connected a few weeks ago, really, and I heard her story and all of the research that this company does on the different products. I was like, man, we have to share this. And you're so lovely, Lori, really, just so genuine. I think I wanted people to hear it for themselves. So
I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, PowerPoint.
Hey, okay. That looks good.
All right. So our company actually started in 2012. It was in 2005. We had 2 founders. They're Dr. Tom Bain, who is a chiropractor and a functional practitioner who deals primarily with digestive health symptoms, and Karan Krishnan, who is a microbiologist. And it was Karan was working for another nutraceutical company. And he was working on probiotics. And he was doing some research, and all of a sudden he discovered the incredible potential of bacillus spores as probiotics. And he brought it to the powers that be in the company and explained what he found, which was not what they were looking for. And they didn't think the company was ready for it yet. And I'll explain why in just a moment. So they said, just forget about it and continue on with your research. Well, he couldn't forget about it. So he met with Dr. Tom Bain. He'd never heard of him before, but through someone else, they connected. And they decided that they wanted to figure out how to use the spores. So it took them 7 years, and 7 years of researching them and stabilizing them for manufacturing. So its very first product. That year, in their spare time, Karan and Dr. Tom went to 6 medical conferences where they presented their compelling research to doctors there about this revolutionary probiotic. And at the time, the company's name was Physicians Exclusive, because we sell directly to practitioners. And in 2016, the company changed its name to Microbiome Labs. In 2017, they moved their headquarters to St. Augustine, Florida, which is where I came into play. And now if there isn't COVID, we go to about 130 conferences a year. When I came on board, I was the 18th employee for the company. And now we have 100.
Mm.
employees. I mean, we are just growing exponentially. And
Mm-hmm.
that is because how the spores work.
Mm-hmm.
We were acquired um, by another company, the largest enzyme company in the world called Novozymes, a month ago. And this is very exciting because what's going to happen is that we're going to be able to bring even more products to the functional medicine space.
Mm-hmm.
And Novozymes is an enzyme company for all sorts of different enzymes. They're out of Denmark, and they started like an umbrella or a subsidiary or whatever. I don't know what the right name is for that. Called Novozymes One Health, and that's where we come in. And they've been doing a lot of work in Europe and Asia, but they really didn't have a solid market in North America. Another reason for them to acquire Microbiome Labs. We actually had a silent partner before, so there were 3 people who started the company. We started the company with $80,000, and
Wow.
they sold it for 25 million.
No way.
Yes,
That really shows how much it's grown.
yes.
Well, it's very popular with
And
all the
and
functional
because
medicine practitioners, all the FDN people. Everybody uses this, so
yeah, because
it's
this
good.
probiotics
Yeah.
probiotics really work.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Quran is still going to be running North America, and Dr. Tom is going to be working globally.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still going to be known as Microbiome Labs.
If some of you guys that are listening, you might recognize the name Kiran Krishna from Summits. He's
Yes,
seems very passionate about educating people. He speaks on a lot of summits, so you might have seen him before.
yes. Just Google him,
Yeah.
Kiran Krishnan, and he's going to come up. I don't know how many thousand.
Mm-hmm. Talks.
Yes, that he has. So let's see. What yeah, I just skipped over some slides that we really didn't need today. What our microbiome is it's a vast ecosystem, and you know, decades and centuries ago, we had a really healthy ecosystem, which is what, this is where we were breathing from, we were eating from, when our vegetables and whatnot, it was healthy. It's just not anymore. As you know, there's pollutants and just so many things in the environment that are not helpful. And that's why we need to supplement. You know, we just have so many things to cause harm to us now. So here we have a picture of a healthy gut on the left-hand side of your screen. A healthy gut has good microbial diversity. That's up here, these little cute little symbols here, and a low level of pathogens. This blue here is the strong mucosal barrier, which is really important, and low mucosal inflammation. And here's your colon here, and it has nice, strong, tight junctions. And here's your bloodstream down here. So on the right side, and again, I said at least 80% of us have a leaky gut. So what's happening here is the pathogens are leaking into our bloodstream because those weak, tight junctions are not weak anymore. The intestinal cells are inflamed and they break open, and you have an overabundance of mucus degrading and toxin producing pathogens just going straight into your bloodstream, and it's making you sick. And this is where leaky gut is, and that mucosal layer isn't there anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
totally broken. So characteristics of our healthy gut are increased microbial diversity. Important that we have a lot of bacteria, different types of bacteria in our microbiome, a low level of pathogens and toxins, thick mucosal barrier, strong epithelial tight junctions, and low mucosal inflammation. And here it is right here. And gut damaging factors are antibiotics, lots of different kinds of medications, ibuprofen, Advil, aspirin, Motrin, you name it, excessive alcohol, smoking, stress, lack of sleep, intense exercise, artificial sweeteners, saturated fats, and glyphosate. And glyphosate is not something that we can avoid if we go outside. We just can't. And it is, you hear a lot about it, and it is bad stuff.
Mhm.
So what happens when you have any of these, factors going on, you end up with that leaky gut again.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
even if you did, you're do a lot of things right, you have this constant battle against these
that's right.
lifestyle things, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our ecosystem isn't like what it used to be when you think of it as, the outside. So Megaspore Biotic is 100% spore-based probiotic. It has Bacillus subtilis, Bacillus coagulans, Bacillus licheniformis, Bacillus clausii, and Bacillus indicus. It is 4 billion CFUs, and you may, have been on another probiotic before, and you'll see that they have 100 billion CFUs, and we only have 4 billion. That is not a concern because ours are 100% survivable during digestion. The other probiotics are not. When you have a probiotic, the most popular are lactobacillus and bifidobacteria. They don't survive the gastrointestinal tract. The yogurt, it doesn't survive the gastrointestinal tract. We have done studies, other people have done studies. In less than 0.1% survive the gastrointestinal tract.
So that's why they start with such a huge number, because only a few are going to make it down there.
And those few that are going to make it, we really need those. But you see, the beauty of the spores is that the spores, first of all, they 100% survive, but they increase the growth of the lactobacillus and the bifidobacteria that we have inside of us. It's also, those are keystone strains, along with Faecalibacterium prausnitzii and Akkermansia municephala, really important keystone strains. And we all have a minute amount. So as long as we have at least a minute amount in there, the spores are going to increase the growth of those.
The good guys.
What they do is it also controls bacteria overgrowth because they work like the gut police. They crowd out the bad guys and let in the good guys. And they support the diversification of our gut flora. I think I just said that.
Mm-hmm.
So the 5 bacillus spores, what they are, the Bacillus licheniformis, what it does is it produces antibiotic bacitracin. It produces protease and improves protein digestion, and produces whole spectrum of B vitamins and folic acid. The coagulans helps with IBS and Crohn's. It produces L-optical form of lactic acid and potent immune stimulator, real important for right now with COVID out there. Bacillus clausii, it's the most widely used probiotic in the world. It is a potent immune stimulator, and it's antibiotic resistant for use during antibiotic treatment. So this can be taken even when you're on an antibiotic. It's going to help to restore. Bacillus indicus over here is another immune stimulator. It produces high levels of carotenoids, lycopene, antithyroxine, beta carotene, and lutein. Produces quinols and vitamins, and the most efficient effective antioxidant probiotic on the market. And Bacillus subtilis is a big one. It produces over 12 effective antibiotics of its own. And when I say antibiotics here, I don't mean the broad spectrum that you take and that hurt your gut. These are the antibiotics that crowd out the bad bacteria, but still allow the growth of the good bacteria. They're widely used, safe, and highly effective. Produces nattokinase and vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 is really, really important for us, and a lot of us don't even know what it is. Mm-hmm. But it is incredibly important to anyone over the age of 30, which we also have that product if you ever want to hear about it.
It's important for vitamin D, right? Everybody's all excited about vitamin D these days, but they always forget this vitamin K2.
Yeah, sure is. It's highly important for immune development in the gut. So this is what these spores are. It gets a little scientific. So what it does, again, is it improves innate and adaptive immunity, increases butyrate production by 40 to 70%, enhances the intestinal barrier function, maintains efficacy during antibiotic therapy. I mentioned that before. It's useful for gut reconditioning, autoimmune conditions, food sensitivities and allergies, and inflammatory conditions. It is a life changer for people who have problems. I wouldn't even be surprised that some of your followers who are your students who have headaches, that this may really, really help all on its own, their migraines. And we did a study. This was our first published study. It was in 2017, and it was published in the World Journal of Gastropathophysiciology, and it was a leaky gut study. And what we did is, it was done at the University of North Texas. What we did is we brought in healthy college students. They all happened to be young men. They were 19 or 20 years old, living a college life. They were not taking care of themselves, as most college students don't. And that's what we were looking for. But they didn't have any illness. You know, there weren't any markers for any type of risk for illness. You know, again, they were only 19 or 20. So we brought them in and fed them a high-fat meal of cheese pizza, among other things. And so they had the cheese pizza, and then they had a blood test, and we were looking for markers associated with leaky gut, such as LPS. So they got the test, and we gave half of them Megaspore Biotic and half of them a placebo, told them to go off and live their college life and to come back in 30 days. And in 30 days, they came back, they had the same high-fat meal, and got tested. And after 30 days, the spore treatment group had a 45% reduction in LPS. And the placebo treatment group had a 32% increase. Interesting that they had the increase. You know, again, probably because we told them to go out and, live their college life and not to change anything. They thought it was a good reason to really party.
Oh, a little overboard.
Whatever they wanted. But even so, that spore treatment group had a 45% reduction, and the placebo treatment group went up. And that's probably the reason why that happened. So they had a 42% reduction of the LPS following that meal, and 24% reduction in triglyceride levels. And we did another triglyceride study, by the way, and that showed, I believe it was 37% reduction after 90 days on Megaspore Biotic. So any of you who have high triglycerides, this is going to help. It's also going to help your cholesterol. Another study we did was for irritable bowel syndrome, like I have. And what we did is we had 3 groups. One group had, the strong antibiotic rifaximin plus either a lactobacillus or a bifidobacteria. I think it was a combination of the 2 probiotic, the ones that don't survive the gastric tract. Another one was on a low FODMAP diet, which is a very strict diet that I admit I should have been on when I had IBS, but I did not follow it. I'm just not very good about that. And the third group had just Megaspore. And the Megaspore group demonstrated the most profound improvement in the IBS severity score. Megaspore people reported better general health and physical functioning, and it proved that it can reduce dysbiosis to a similar degree as the antibiotic treatment without the negative side effects.
Wow.
So, that was huge. This was about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago that we had this study done. We've done tons of studies. I think we've 17 written up at this point. So that's Megaspore Biotic. Now, 2.5 years ago, we came out with a total gut restoration system, and that includes Mega Prebiotic. So Mega Prebiotic is a precision prebiotic supplement. It has functional fibers in it. It doesn't contain any lactose, casein, or whey. Doesn't contain any corn or dairy proteins. I say that because there is some corn and some cow's milk that go into the oligosaccharides, but it's the proteins that cause someone to have sensitivity. And it doesn't have the proteins. If you're truly allergic, like
Anaphylactic.
shock allergic, we're going to recommend you stay away from it. But if you just, are intolerant to it, maybe get diarrhea, get a stomach ache or something like that, this is fine for you to take. And you're not going to get that. It's something you do want to start slowly because it has all those fibers in it. So, when you see the canister, you will see that, it tells you to start at a quarter of a scoop versus a full scoop. And for me, I had to start at a quarter of a scoop. And it took me about 3 weeks to get up to the full scoop, 3 to 4 weeks. But it really, really works. So let me tell you how it really, really works. So we did another study. We did a SHIME study. A SHIME model is a simulated gut simulator. So we had 2 models, and one model had just Megaspore Biotic, and another model had Megaspore Biotic and Mega Prebiotic. And what we found after 30 days was that the SHIME model that had both significantly increased the abundance of bifidobacteria, lactobacillus, Faecalbacterium prausnitzii, and Akkermansia municiphala. In fact, the Akkermansia municiphala increased by 8,000%. Huge. And Akkermansia municiphala is really important. All 4 of these are really important keystone strains. And all of them increased by over 500%, I believe. I don't have the numbers for all of them, but tremendous.
So this is helping feed the good guys, basically, right?
Yes, it does. And it does not feed the bad guys. It's the first prebiotic on the market that doesn't feed bad guys, because it was designed only to feed the bifidobacteria, the lactobacillus, Faecalbacterium prausnitzii, and Akkermansia municiphala.
So even though you're not having to kill off all the bad guys, you're kind of giving an unfair advantage to all the good guys. It's a different approach to some other treatments for IBS and gut issues, which is cool.
And then we came out with Mega Mucosa and IgG 2000, Mega IgG 2000, and these are mucosal support products. So this is part of Total Gut Restoration, in particular the Mega Mucosa. So Mega IgG 2000 is derived from bovine serum. It's dairy-free, no lactose casein or lactoglobulin, stronger than colostrum powders. What it does is it neutralizes harmful pathogens like bacteria, viruses, and environmental toxins. It neutralizes them. It binds and eliminates them, including the LPS, so that they go out in your stool. It reduces immune activation and inflammation and strengthens our immune tolerance. Mega IgG is great for people who, for example, have loose stools, because if there's some kind of toxins in there, it's going to bind them and get rid of them. It's going to be great for anyone who's had like a mold exposure. So if any of you people are having migraines because of a mold exposure, this is going to bind and eliminate them, get rid of it. I had one of my colleagues had real problem with mold in a place that she was renting. And she also had asthma. So she was having, bad asthma. She just, you couldn't even have a conversation with her. She was coughing. And Dr. Tom Bain, one of our founders, she asked him what she should do. And he told her to take the Mega IgG and to double it. The regular dose is 4. He actually told her to take 10 a day, 5 in the morning and 5 at night, because you really can't have too much of it. He told her to take that much, and she lost 10 pounds just in fluid in a month. Wow. Just because she had so much fluid in her lungs and everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And she also ended up moving after that. Yeah. But I mean, it really, really helped. And there are other stories like that as well. Mega IgG is a great product. It's also, some people might have heard of charcoal, which binds,
Mm-hmm.
but charcoal also binds good stuff,
Mm-hmm. You have to
and
be
this,
really careful with the timing, and you can't take it
that's
near your
right.
food and everything. It's kind of a
Yep.
pain.
And you have to with the mega IgG. And I should have mentioned with these products too, the Megaspore, a lot of antibiotics that excuse me, not antibiotics, probiotics that you purchase, it's going to tell you to refrigerate them because they're live.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. So if you get a probiotic and they tell you to refrigerate it to keep it so that the lactobacillus and the bifidobacteria don't die, how is it going to handle 98.6 degree temperature in us?
Yeah.
So, but these are spores from, they come initially from the dirt, although we derive them from a healthy human gut, actually.
Mm.
And they can withstand any temperature. You can freeze them, you can heat them. We've heated them at 450 degrees,
Mm.
and they were still working just fine. So it's another thing to know. I actually keep Megaspore in my, just in case I forget to take it in the morning, and I keep it in my glove compartment.
Yeah.
My purse, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really easy to carry with you. And also, we have a 5-year shelf life on it, but it could go after that. I mean, that's what the FDA makes us. They just don't die.
Pick something. Mm-hmm.
They can last billions of years.
Okay, for all the preppers listening today.
So back to the Mega IgG, great product. I actually had it 4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, I had diarrhea like I had never, ever had before. It was horrible. And the company that we partnered with had another product that I happened to take, and it calmed my diarrhea down. I mean, I was in a diaper. It was so bad. Just in case diaper. You didn't have to really, use it in that sense. They won all day long.
It was an urgent situation.
But that's how bad my diarrhea was. And the product that is exactly like Mega IgG is what took care of it. So I know how well this works. And so this is just a list of some of the things that the Mega IgG binds to. And you have that screen that I had sent you before, if anyone ever would like to see this list.
Yeah, sure.
So Mega Mucosa has IgG in it as well. It has half the amount of IgG than the product Mega IgG does. So it still binds and neutralizes toxins, but what else it does is it increases mucin 2 production and rebuilds the mucosal barrier. It has citrus polyphenols that have antioxidant properties, and they increase our short chain fatty acid production, reduce inflammation, and increase microbial diversity. So here you have the total gut restoration. It's 3-pronged. So you recondition the gut here with Megaspore Biotic. Then you reinforce those changes with the Mega Prebiotic, and you rebuild the intestinal mucosa with the Mega Mucosa. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with Megaspore Biotic, and it's going to tell you to start slowly because there can be significant die-off. I had it die-off with the Megaspore because it's killing off all the bad stuff, and you got to get rid of it. One way to keep that die-off so that it isn't as severe is to add Mega IgG to it, to bind the toxins. And then you have you reinforce the changes. So you start on Megaspore, and then about a month later, in month 2, you're going to add your Mega Prebiotic. So you're going to be taking both in month 2. You're going to start slowly again and titrate up. Titrate means, build up slowly. And then in the 3rd month, you're going to add Mega Mucosa. And you're going to start that slowly as well. And then my recommendation is and this is what I've been told by Dr. Tom and Karan Krishnan, is that you really should have 3 full months on all 3 products.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you only have 1 full month of the product, it's going to really help you. But 1 full month is what we have in our new Total Gut Restoration package, which is going to be 3 months worth of Megaspore, 2 months worth of Mega Pre, and then 1 month of the Mega Mucosa. That's going to really, really help too. If you don't have digestive symptoms, that's probably enough for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you have digestive symptoms from leaky gut, I would recommend doing the full 3 months.
So you do that jump start and then add 2 more months of the full package afterwards.
Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, gotcha.
I should say, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, and keep in mind that leaky gut has all kinds of symptoms. It's not just digestive symptoms.
Brain fog, fatigue.
Yes.
Anybody? Hello.
Who? Where?
Nobody has those problems.
So I'm going to review here. You have your healthy gut on the left, your leaky gut. Again, everything's leaking into the bloodstream. And you can heal that by taking care of your gut and using our Total Gut Restoration, or we call it TGR. And you can get your gut to look like this again. And that's what you really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, you're reconditioning your gut with the Megaspore Biotic. That's your probiotic. Many chronic diseases are associated with low microbial diversity. And now think of your ecosystem again. It's like a garden, and that's what's inside of us. But what do you do in the springtime? For a garden, you remove the weeds, till the soil, and fertilize the plants. And that's what Total Gut Restoration does. So the bacillus spores modulate the microbiota through the quorum sensing, increase short chain fatty acid production, which is very important, by 40%, and encourages the growth of those keystone strains, Akkermansia municiphala, Mycobacterium prosnitzi, bifidobacteria. Lactobacillus should be on here because it increases that growth as well. It's the first 100% spore-based broad-spectrum probiotic on the market. Improves leaky gut by 60% in just 30 days. I mean, that's huge. The all-spore formula effectively reconditions the gut by increasing microbial diversity and encouraging the growth of those key health-promoting commensal gut bacteria and crowding out the pathogen.
Mm-hmm.
Really important. So that's step 1. Step 2 is you want to reinforce the changes that the Megaspore is making. And that's where the Mega Prebiotic comes in. When you think of your garden again, you need proper fertilizer. That's exactly what the prebiotic does. It is your fertilizer. It selectively feeds the important keystone strains, like the Akkermansia, the Faecalibacterium, the Bifidobacterium, and the Lactobacillus. It feeds them. It's the first precision prebiotic ever, and the only ones that are out there are those that private label with us. Supplement made of clinically tested non-digestible oligosaccharides that increase our microbial diversity and selectively feed the beneficial bacteria. It reinforces the changes that the Megaspore is making. Step 2 again. And step 3, now that you've got a healthy microbiome going on, you want to rebuild your mucosal barrier so things can't leak out. And that's where the mucosa comes in. It increases butyrate by upregulating the MUC2 genes. It has bacillus spores in it and 4 amino acids that rebuild this intestinal barrier through the modulation of those tight junction proteins, keeping things from leaking out, and the butyrate producing microbiota. It's also the first complete support supplement of its kind. The only other one out there was a private label from us, formulated with key amino acids to rebuild the healthy mucosal barrier. Contains dairy-free immunoglobulins, clinically shown to support a healthy immune response in the mucosa, and a state-of-the-art flavobiotic, clinically shown to support microbial diversity and alleviate the barrier dysfunction, otherwise known as leaky gut. And again, megaspore biotic, mega prebiotic, and mega mucosa. And that's it.
It's a total package. Yeah, I'm excited to try it. I've never personally tried the prebiotic before. I think we talked last time. I got kind of turned off by the prebiotics I had tried before because they gave me some side effects and things like that. I didn't titrate right, and this is a new one anyway. But I'm excited. I think it's been a couple of years since I did like a nice rebuilding boost. So I'm gonna give this a shot myself, and excited to try it.
Erin, as I mentioned to you before, for me, you know, I was doing the Megaspore.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that we had. And then when the total gut restoration came in, I did 3 months of that. And then what I was doing is I really believe in the prebiotics. So I was taking Megaspore, of course, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was adding the mega prebiotic 2 or 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
For 2 years. And then I started having problems again, December, January. So I started the whole, the mega mucosa as well, and adding the mega pre in every day. And problem solved.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Looking forward to getting into that. Well, thank you so much for going over with that with us. Hope people found that informative. I'm sure you guys have questions, so feel free to email me, info@engineeringradiance.com. Any questions about presentation, I can get in touch with Lori or the products. I can help find the answers for you as well. But any other thoughts or things to add?
I don't.
Okay. Below this video and on this page, we'll have a link where you can use our patient direct code, which is ENGRAD, ENGRAD. You can register for an account, put that in, and get access to these products through us. And of course, we're here to support you if you do have questions that come up, or you're interested in some of the other things we didn't get to talk about today and things like that. You're more than welcome to reach out, but that should make it easy to get your hands on this total restoration package.
Because they are only sold to practitioners themselves. But this way you can purchase them through Erin and pay us directly, and
they'll ship to you directly. Yeah. Yeah, you can do that. You can just email us and say, hi, we're good, or hey, need some help. Either way.
If you have questions about them, ask Erin, and then if she can't answer them, she can contact me and I'll get an answer for her.
Find out. Absolutely. So thanks for listening. Thank you, Lori, for your time and for sharing all this with us. And hopefully we'll stay in touch.
My pleasure.